Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It is Thursday. It's November the, 9, 10, 11, 12th, and it's the day after Veterans Day, so good to come to you this afternoon. But let me start by saluting all of those of you who have served or have had a family member who has served, or a spouse who has served, or a son or daughter who has served in the military. I hope you had a good Veterans Day yesterday, and I just wanted to acknowledge and thank you for your service. It's always meaningful to serve your country, and so thank you very much for what you have done. So it's been a while since I've done a little video, and there's been a lot going on, but probably the most important thing that I want to spend today's video on is really to give you an update on where we are with the new law, Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, or WIOA. And a significant portion of that we have spent really the last month on is what is called the Unified Plan. So in the new law, every state must submit what is either called a combined state plan or a unified state plan. Georgia has decided to submit a unified state plan, and the reason they say it's a unified state plan is that it's one plan that includes the four key partners, and the four key partners for all states, and in particular for Georgia, are the Division of Workforce Development in our state, the Vocational Rehabilitation Program, which is obviously GVRA, Adult and Technical Education, and the Department of Labor. So those are the four key partners that together will put together a unified plan that will be signed by the governor and submitted. The plan is actually due from the state March of 2016, and it will go into effect July 1st of 2016, and it's a 3-year plan. So I wanted to let you know that we have been working very diligently on our section of the plan, and it was actually due in draft form to Workforce Development November the 2nd, so last week, which we submitted. We're still doing some final tweaks on it. And then that draft plan, which is going to be close to 400 pages or so, will go before the State Workforce Investment Board on November the 19th. And if passed through that group, then it will go out for public comment for the month of December. So during the month of December, it will be available to be viewed by anybody in our state, and they can make public comment. That comment will then be considered and incorporated into a revised final draft plan, which hopefully will be approved prior to March and then submitted to both the United States Department of Labor and the United States Department of Education. The plan actually has to be signed off by both the Secretary of Labor and the Secretary of Education. But I thought what might be interesting, and it's a very specific template we had to follow, but there's a lot of detail in it. What I thought would be good to share with you all is what we put as our main goals for the plan, and then I'm going to read you, I hate to do this to you on camera, but I'm going to read you under one goal what we listed as our major priorities, because that'll give you a sense, I think, of what we're trying to do and the direction we're trying to move in. So I'm actually going to read from our draft section of the Unified Plan. So we came up with 3 goals. Goal number 1, to increase and improve competitive employment outcomes and career opportunities for all individuals with disabilities. Number 2, to increase and improve competitive employment outcomes and career opportunities for youth and students with disabilities. And then number 3, to increase and improve competitive employment outcomes and career opportunities for unserved and underserved populations, to include veterans, individuals with sensory disabilities, mental illness, developmental disabilities, and autism. So those are the 3 goals that all of our plan is wrapped around and trying to accomplish. That first goal, to increase and improve competitive employment outcomes and career opportunities for all individuals with disabilities, we identified 5 priorities, and I'll share those with you too, of how we're basically going to try to accomplish that goal. So the priorities are these. Priority number 1, to integrate all vocational rehabilitation services, and that includes the VR program, Roosevelt Warm Springs, Cave Spring Rehabilitation Center, and the Business Enterprise Program, to integrate all of those services and programs to create an efficient and aligned vocational rehabilitation infrastructure to oversee, to coordinate, and to implement new and improved services. You've probably heard me talk about that in trying to break down the silos. Well, now that's one of our major priorities. Second priority, to partner with our vocational rehabilitation provider network to establish shared performance indicators and to move from a fee-for-service model to a performance-based model. The basic tenet behind that is we only want to pay for outcomes. We don't want to pay for processes anymore. We want to focus on what are our outcomes and how can we hold our providers, whether they're a vendor or a CRP, accountable for really delivering good outcomes. Number three, to develop a business division within GVRA to focus on formal employer engagement that will support all vocational rehabilitation services and create more employment and career opportunities within the local employer community, having a particular focus on two major state initiatives. Number one, Go Build Georgia, and number two, High Demand Career Initiative. Both of those initiatives are out of the Office of Economic Development, Division of Workforce Development. They're two governor initiatives, and it's really, these are the jobs for the next 10 to 20 years that show the most job opportunities and growth. In fact, today, there are 150,000 open jobs in the high demand careers in our state. So this third point is how do we engage our employers to really, and in some new and innovative ways formally, to get them to help us. And we've made the first step in creating a business division. We hired a director for that division. His name is Robert Nibbs, and you'll be reading and hearing much more about that business division. But it's really to help us move more and more into the commercial world, if you will. The fourth bullet point, or the fourth priority, is to develop collaborative relationships with other state agencies and organizations that share a similar mission and or serve a common population. The intent of these relationships will be to create a seamless array of services that are complementary and aligned in purpose. So the things that we've done with the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities, the things that we're trying to do with both the University System of Georgia and the Technical College System of Georgia for those individuals that we end up sending on and supporting in either technical school or four-year universities or community colleges. Relationships with the Department of Juvenile Justice and the pilot that we're doing to try to identify how we can provide supportive services to juveniles that are incarcerated who do have a disability so that when they leave the youth detention center, they have a path that leads them to hopefully some competitive employment. And the final priority under that first goal is to implement an internal training plan and schedule to address transformational leadership for all supervisors within the agency, and also extensive professional staff development that focuses on creative ways to improve and increase services for individuals with disabilities. That last priority is all about how do we transform our agency and transform what we do. It is obvious to me and to others that we can't keep doing what we've always done and expect significantly different outcomes. And we believe that the answer is to really invest in our supervisors and managers as well as our frontline staff to give you all the new skills to help you transform this agency. We want to be the agency that is leading the pack across the country, not following behind. And I can tell you that we have a great opportunity in front of us. As you know, we've kind of stabilized our financial situation. We're trying to fill our vacancies, but it really is about how do we think differently to produce really much more increased outcomes. So those are the 5 priorities listed under that first goal. We also have some priorities under goal number 2 that I won't read today for time, and some priorities under goal number 3. Once this plan is finished from the draft form after November 19th, it'll be available for all of you to read. Our particular section of the plan, by the way, is about 60 pages. So that's just an update on the WIOA law and where we're at with the unified plan. And the last thing I'd like to talk with you about is just share some information about a legislative committee that was established last year, came out of the last General Assembly session, in which the House of Representatives in our state actually appointed a committee to look at this thing called Employment First. Many of you probably know what that's about. That committee has had 2 meetings. They have a meeting scheduled this coming Monday, and then their final committee meeting on Tuesday. I actually am scheduled to testify at their committee meeting on Monday, but it's really about, they're looking at the pros and cons of Georgia adopting an employment first policy and what that could mean in our state. The basic principle behind employment first is that employment should be the highest priority for all individuals with disabilities, because, as I'm sure you know, employment is the vehicle that really helps a person become independent. It gives them opportunities to access things that they wouldn't otherwise be able to access without the freedom that getting a paycheck gives you. So the committee's headed up by Representative Katie Dempsey. She's been doing a great job. They've got really some great committee members. The presentations so far have been very interesting, and it's very supportive of what we're trying to do. So that committee will finish their hearings, as I said, on Tuesday, and then they will make a recommendation back to the governor's office on what their position on what the recommendation is regarding employment first. So just to let you know, we do support it, and so I'll be testifying on that committee, or to that committee, on Monday. That's a lot of news for today. It's finally sunny. I hope you're enjoying the sun if you're in a place where you've been receiving a lot of rain. Hope you have a great day. And again, to the veterans, I salute you for all your service. Thank you, and have a good afternoon.